Hi, it's Lindsay here. I am about to do a tutorial for you on how to import your Cocoa Daisy files into Silhouette to get them ready to use. This is sort of a Silhouette and Cocoa Daisy 101 for that. If you've never done it before and you just bought yourself a Silhouette, or you bought yourself a Silhouette a couple years ago and you just haven't used it, hopefully this will get you to the point where you can use it. So I'm going to go ahead. This is the main Cocoa Daisy page, and on the top you'll see, you won't see the black bar because I have that because I'm a designer, but you will see this gray bar at the very top, and it says subscribe, your FAQs, your My Store account, and your items in your cart. You're actually going to click on the My Store account. Don't go down into any of these. I just find it's easiest to get to your subscriber downloads from your My Store account. So go ahead and click on that. And here's your screen, and you will likely see your name there, not mine. And you can check your recent orders, your shipping billing address, edit your password, etc., from this screen. So we're actually going to go to the My Account menu items, and under subscriptions here, you will find a subscriber downloads if you're a subscriber. And so you need to be subscribed to one of the kits in order to have the subscriber downloads. So if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. If you go into the FAQs, you can find out exactly how to subscribe and what the details are, and what all of the information that you need in order to subscribe is in the FAQs. So anyways, we're going to click on the subscriber downloads, and it's going to bring you to this nice page. And on this page, you will find cut files and printables that you can use in order to cut regular scrapbook paper and also print and cut these cutouts. You can print these on sticker paper and do all of that kind of stuff, but today we're not going to deal with that. Today we're going to deal with the subscriber cut files. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit download, and it's going to download for you. And my downloads show up down here, but yours will show up wherever yours show up. Some people's shows up here, some people's shows up wherever. So wherever yours does. I'm on a Mac, so mine does it down below. So once your cut file is downloaded, which we will give it a couple more seconds, just about done. It's 3.83 megabytes. So it just needs to finish downloading. And you're going to go, once that's done downloading, you're going to go into your file folder thing, wherever your downloads go, and you will find it there. And you're going to open it so that you have either a folder or a zip opening or whatever your computer does in order to have things open. And then you're going to see the Cocoa Daisy cut file PDF, which opens up and shows you what each of the cut files are. So we'll just go through all of those. So these cut files match all of the things, and you can make different things with these. You can use the PDF, I believe, or the PDFs. You can go into here, and so this is all of the JPEG versions of those cut files. Or you can go into the ping cut files, and these are all of the ping version of the cut files. Or if you have the Designer Studio of Silhouette, you can go into the SVG files and use those. So, depending on which one you have. Now, I'm going to go through the process of each of these items. I'm going to do probably a separate video for, or not a separate video, but a separate segment for each of these. Getting them in to the software, as well as getting them to the point where you're ready to cut. So I'm going to show you how to do the SVG one right now because I have the Designer Studio, and then I'm going to go through and show you how to do the ping file and also how to do the JPEG file. And that should hopefully cover all of the bases depending on how you get a cut file. Some people only do cut files as JPEGs, some people only do cut files as pings, and some people only do cut files as SVGs. And if that's the case, I'm not too sure how to convert an SVG to a JPEG or something like that, so you may have to contact the file maker and ask them to make it into a JPEG or a ping if you don't have the Designer software. So, but if you do, then this is the first one that you'll have. So what you're going to do is leave this folder open and open your Silhouette Studio. And when you open it, this is how it looks. It may not have these files open. I just have a couple of files open that I've been working with. So I'm just going to leave those open. You're going to come up with a cutting mat, and you're also going to come up with a blank slate. It will either have the design marks on it, or sorry, the registration marks on it, or they'll be shut off depending on which way you left it last, I believe. For the cut files, you actually don't need the registration marks. So if you do have the registration marks on, you can go to this registration mark tool and click on style and then go to off. So you don't actually need it, because what you're doing is cutting the cut file from a scrap of paper, whereas the registration marks are if you're actually printing an image and then going to cut it so that the Silhouette knows where your paper is in order to cut. So because we're not printing this, we don't actually need the registration marks. And that's for all of these options. That's for the JPEG, that's for the ping, and that's for the SVG file. So that doesn't change. Now, as for the SVG file, when you go into your library, I have imported all of the files into my folder already, so I'm just going to quickly show you how to do that. So if you go into your Finder, and you're just going to select whatever files you want to import into here, and then you're just going to simply click and drag them over into the section, and then you're going to just let go, and it's going to drag and drop it in to your library. So let me just scroll down here. There it is right there. Oops, went a little too far. Okay, so say we imported this file. You can double click on it and it will insert the SVG file for you onto the page. Now you can select it and you can manipulate the size. You can manipulate the size like of the whole image. You can manipulate the size of just one way. You can manipulate the size of this way, depending on what you want it to look like. If you decide you don't want it, You can click on it and hit delete. Sorry. And you can, if you hit Command or Control Z, you can bring it back. All of the regular options that you have with your computer. When you go to actually cut this file, depending on how you're cutting it, you're going to send it to your Silhouette, or you're going to open the Send to Silhouette. You're going to adjust the cut settings, and you're going to go to whatever paper or whatever thing you're putting this on. Normally, because we do it on cardstock, I use heavy cardstock as my options. And I use, there we go. Okay, on the standard options, I click on the cut edge, and as you can see, it added the red lines, which is where it's going to cut. Cover stock, I changed my ratchet blade is always on 3, my speed is 1, and my thickness is 33. If you've watched the other video or first, then you'll know this. Every machine is slightly different. It depends how you put your blade in, it depends what your blade is set at, it depends on all sorts of things. So you could use this as a guide, but you may have to play with your settings a little bit. I find that this is the setting that works for me, and I really haven't changed it and played around with it because I found it works, so I'm just going to leave it. If it does work for you, great. But if it doesn't cut all the way through, or if you find it's cutting too hard or too thickly, or too deeply, then you can always change these settings. Just be aware that whatever you change, maybe write it down somewhere so that you know what your settings are. So once that's all done, then at this point, if your image is where you want it, say we wanted it back here, or if you need to change your paper size or whatever that kind of stuff, then you would do that before you hit Send to Silhouette. So if we were actually going to do this on a 12 by 12 page and use it as a, I don't know, a scrapbook thing or whatever, you can change the size of your paper by opening the Design Page Settings window. And you can either move this bar or you can change your manual settings. So let's put this on a 12 by 12 sheet, and I'll show you what I mean. So you can change both of these to 12 by 12, and that increases the size of the paper. And then you could take this image, and if you wanted it the whole size of the paper, you would make it that size. Move it around slightly wherever you want. So if that's what you wanted, and you wanted to do like a 12 by 12 layout or whatever, then that's how you would cut a 12 by 12. Right now I'm scrapbooking my sister's scrapbook album, and her scrapbook album is 8 by 8. So for me, I would shrink this to 8 by 8, and then I would shrink this to 8 by 8. And so you can either manipulate this file like this, or you can go up into this one here, which is the scale window, and you can change the width and the height instantly if you know what you need, and then you can move it around. And then because I'm not cutting on the whole thing, you're actually going to make the image a little bit smaller, right? Because nothing that's outside these red lines is going to cut. So if your cut file is outside the red lines, then you won't cut. So I usually try to make it just a tiny bit smaller. So this would fit really nicely on a scrapbook page. And then when I'm ready to send it to Silhouette, again, I'm going to go in. If I haven't changed any of my settings though, I don't have to go back in and hit adjust cut settings. So I like to go into it just in case, because you never really know. But just double check everything, make sure you're on heavy cardstock, make sure your cut edge is showing, and you're on standard cut mode. And this will give you exactly this on an SVG file. And then when you're ready to cut and you've loaded your mat into your Silhouette machine, then you can just hit send to Silhouette. Okay, so I'm going to open a brand new file. And I'm going to zoom out. And of course, as you can see, we're still on the 8x8 page. And the cut lines have changed and a bunch of stuff has changed. So, because it's actually put the registration marks on again, so go back in, change the style to off, go in here, change your sizes. The planner paper that we get with our Cocoa Daisy kits is 6 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. So I'm going to use that just as an example. You can use scrapbook paper, like I said, if you belong to the scrapbook kit or if you've ordered some of the extra paper. Be my guest. Play all you want on those. I do order the extra scrapbook paper because then if I want to make, like if I'm planning in an A5 planner and I want to make one of these bookmarks or something and it's a little bit larger than the 8.5 height of the planner paper, then I can do that because I've got 12 inches by 12 inches to play in. So, but if you're planning in a personal size, you could technically use this size as your bookmark and it would be fine. So, if you don't have the designer software and can't import the SVG. Okay? So now that I've got that covered, I'm going to go ahead and open up the PNG file. And I am going to select these guys right here. And all you got to do is drag them into your software and they show up. Okay, I'm going to do the cutting out here in the gray area and then we'll move them in to the other area just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and open the trace window, which is this little butterfly looking thing. And I'm going to select trace area. And with that, I'm going to select around the area that I want to trace. Now, you can select a smaller box, but I always like to select a bigger box just so that I know that I've gotten the whole image. Then you're going to shut off the high pass filter and you're going to change the threshold to 100%. And what that does is it makes the threshold go all the way out to the whole black of the area. And so you're not missing any pieces. You can leave the scale alone, that's fine. Everything else is fine. And then you're going to go up here and hit trace and detach. And from here it looks like you didn't do anything, right? But if you look, when you select it, you can see now there is a box around this area, and there's a box around this area, and there's another box around this area. You can see where all these little lines are right here. And I can zoom in a little closer just so you can see. Move this over. Okay. So you can see all these little extra boxes. So what you're going to do is just select outside of that, and as you can see these little black lines, that's a piece cut out of this. So if you want, you can just select your black pieces and it'll just move your black pieces, and then I'm going to show you how many extra pieces you get. Look at that. So you got this piece here that was on top, then you had this piece that was over top of this bottom one, and then you have these two pieces. And that basically separated the whole image out into its individual parts. So we're just going to delete those pieces because we don't need them. And you can move these around, you can select them, you can align them if you really want to so that they're perfectly symmetrical, so that you can move them and not be too worried about one of the images going off of the cut area. You can move them closer. So say I did this, I moved them closer, and then all I want to do is just realign them. It's going to realign them like that, and then you can just move them over. Okay? So it's now cut out these files from the PNG file, and then you're going to reselect them, and you're going to make the outside line red. We're going to, and we've changed the outlines to red. We can now go into send to silhouette. We can adjust our cut settings. Now, generally it'll come on standard, and as you can see, the cut lines went away, right? But if you go to advanced, if the cut lines go away, sometimes the file doesn't do that. It's weird sometimes. Sometimes you can get it to just cut without changing it, and sometimes you have to go into the advanced settings. So if you don't have the big thick red cut lines around your images, then please go into advanced. Then you're going to make sure that this box is checked off, because if you can see, if you uncheck it, it makes the lines disappear. So you want it to be checked off because that's what you want to cut. Make sure your printer or your cutter is set at cover stock or whatever setting you use to cut into your cardstock. Make sure your ratchet blade is the right, and make sure your speed and thickness are right. And then once you've loaded your paper onto your silhouette mat and loaded it into your silhouette, you can hit send. And it will cut out those images. So that is how you cut with your SVG file if you have the designer software, and also with a PNG file if you have the Studios, just the basic Studio software, which comes with your silhouette. The designer software is an extra add-on that you have to pay for. So if you're not going to be using the SVG files, or if you're not going to import from a PDF, or if you're not going to do any of that kind of stuff, then you don't really need the designer software, but there is benefits to having a designer software. There's specific things on my menu that you wouldn't have on a standard one, and there's also specific things over here as well that you don't get with the standard. So depending on what you're wanting to do, you may or may not want to upgrade yourself. So anyways, I hope that helped. And so that took you right from getting the file all the way through to being able to be ready to send it to your silhouette. You can save these studio files as well, so that if you want to come back in and recut after you've closed the software, you can do that. And all of these settings should stay the same. And from, like, as long as you open that studio file for that purpose. So let me know if you have any questions. You can comment below, and I will try and answer the best I can. I'm still really learning the studio software, so I mean, sometimes it's trial and error for me. Sometimes it's a lot of Googling and watching YouTube and all of that kind of stuff to kind of get the basics, and then maybe try and expand on that. But For the most part, it is for the most part, it's fairly user-friendly if you know what buttons to push. So hopefully this video helped you become more familiar with your Silhouette software and the Cocoa Daisy cut files. So I can't wait to see what you guys make with it. Go to our fan group on Facebook, Cocoa Daisy Planner fan group, and post in there what you've cut with your cut files. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks.